It's past 7. Well, first Kevin Rudd said it. Now Reserve Bank Governor Glenn Stevens has followed Blind Freddie and confirmed Australia is in recession. But the opposition is adamant a third stimulus package is not the answer. Why not? Well, let's ask opposition leader Malcolm Turnbull. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, you've been a bit of a critic of Kevin Rudd for a fair while, saying, look, come out and admit we're in recession. He now has. And you're saying he's using it as a bit of distraction.
Koshi, I don't think the question of whether we are technically in a recession today or not is the real issue. The real issue is what are we doing to get out of it. That's where are the policies. Now, Mr. Rudd's had his cash splashes, 2 cash splashes.
Yep.
He said they'd create jobs. Have they created jobs? No.
Okay.
He said they would provide economic growth. Have they created any economic growth? No, we're going backwards. We're continuing to go backwards. So he's had 2 cash splashes that haven't worked, and now apparently wants to do a third. The only thing I'll guarantee you these cash splashes will deliver is bigger and bigger mountains of debt, which will mean higher interest rates and higher taxes in the future, but no jobs.
Okay. Well, you've got groups like the International Monetary Fund coming out overnight saying the recession's going to get worse around the world, and Australia is in a pretty good position. So he must be doing something right.
Well, we're in a good position because of the hand of economic cards Mr. Rudd was dealt when he became Prime Minister. The coalition left this country in a very strong economic state. You know, all Labor's debt paid off, the budget and surplus, future obligations to federal pension recipients paid off via the Future Fund. So it was a very solid economy that he inherited. And above all, he had a well-regulated banking system, which regulations put in place by the Howard government, which ensured that we didn't have a subprime crisis. So on every measure, Australia was well positioned to take on this economic downturn around the world. That's why we're relatively better off than other countries like the European countries or the US.
OK, we've got the federal budget coming up very shortly. There is talk today about another economic stimulus. You say, no, we don't need it.
Well, no,
you're a banker, a former banker. What would you do?
Well, Koshi, what I would do is focus on jobs. Jobs. You see, we have an economic recovery plan.
What?
Well,
how do you focus on it?
Okay.
What specific policies would you bring in for jobs?
Provide real incentives for businesses to keep people on the payroll. So we've proposed measures that will lower the cost for small business of employing people by rebating a portion of the superannuation guarantee contribution. We've proposed tax relief, bringing forward tax cuts due for July 1 this year and July 1 next year. Bring them forward. We said they should have been brought forward to January. We've also proposed that businesses be able to roll their losses backwards and recover tax they paid in previous years. So instead of only being able to carry forward losses, be able to carry them backwards. Many countries already do that. This would provide real cash flow support for businesses now. We've proposed that investment, that government spending should be focused on economic infrastructure, roads, bridges, ports, water, those types of things.
OK, they're doing that though. They have this infrastructure program for schools.
I missed it. Well, they're spending money on primary school assembly halls and libraries, but I haven't.
In the short term, but longer term.
I was up in the Hunter, as you know, not so long ago, up in Cessnock, and of course I've been up in central Queensland too. It's the same story. Vital bits of economic infrastructure which are ready to go, not being invested in. In the Lower Hunter, Bob Baldwin's been up there arguing for the F3 link. It's all ready to go. We put the money aside for it. All the land's bought. The planning's done. So we're saying, Bob and the coalition are saying, let's build it. Let's get started. Nothing's happening. It's in Joel Fitzgibbon's electorate. They're handing out cash, but they're not building any roads. That's what really provides jobs. If you want to have a stimulus, invest in business by providing them with incentives to employ, to keep people on the payroll, as we've proposed. And if you're going to spend money, then do so by spending on economic infrastructure.
They would say by giving us our cheques, our $900 or whatever.
Yeah, right.
We're, as the customer of a business, going to go and do more business with them. So that's how the bosses will keep us on in terms of our jobs. You're saying just give it direct to the boss.
Well, Koshi, the evidence is just dead against the government there. I mean, the first cash splash, which was in December, Mr. Rudd said would create 75,000 jobs. It didn't create one. We know that. The economists are telling us that 83% of it was saved, so it wasn't spent. So so in other words, we go and borrow $10 billion, which our kids will have to pay off, and 1.7 billion of it is spent. So that's not much of a return. So if you want to get a real return from government spending at a time like this, everybody will tell you that you should be focusing on economic infrastructure. The government is not doing that. It's not spending on projects that are crying out for money. In central Queensland, you had the Gladstone Airport, vital bit of infrastructure. No federal money coming their way. In Mackay, further north, you have the whole missing rail link, a vital bit of rail infrastructure to support the coal industry. No Commonwealth money, no Kevin Rudd money coming there. You see, what he's doing is he's spending money in a way that runs up massive debt, doesn't create jobs, but it makes him very popular. Everything about Mr Rudd is about politics and driving up his popularity.
Okay, he's not too popular today in some of the headlines. There's some papers are having another go at what he eats on the VIP aircraft. What do you reckon about this? Is this a distraction? Is this important sort of political news?
Well, everywhere I go in Australia, people are focused on jobs. They want to know what the government is doing to promote jobs. They want to know why money isn't being better and more effectively spent. I think the Prime Minister's got his priorities wrong on the aeroplane as well as he has on the economy.
Okay. All right. Malcolm Turnbull, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
It's coming up to a